Herzlich willkommen zurück auf SchalkeMerica. I'm your host, Richard. Joining me as always, co-host Jack. How are we doing, Jack?
Welcome to the Fireside Chats edition of the SchalkeMerica podcast featuring Richard. I'm coming to you from the cave as normal, although maybe a little bit more cave-like than usual. But yeah, doing all right, Richard. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm by the fireplace, as you mentioned, with a beer in hand. So I am doing quite well. I'm clearly not at home. I am on the road, taking SchalkeMerica on the road. How about that? But yeah, we're at the fireplace. It's nice and toasty at the moment. If I get up at any moment, it's too hot for me. But yeah, I needed something to relax and distract myself from what was Schalke. We had obviously an interesting game, to say the least. 2-0 defeat to Bochum in the Kleine River Derby, the Little River Derby. Not what we expected going into that game, huh, Jack?
Not what we were hoping for, at least. Although some recent trends seem to continue in this game, so from that perspective, maybe not overly unpredictable.
Yeah, and I think one of the big things from this game is Kaiserslautern was an interesting game, to say the least, because we went down 2-0 in that game. Džeko makes his debut. We found a way to kind of a miraculous, a comeback in that game. And so we're on this high. And naturally, when you have these games where they're such an emotional drain, it's naturally going to have a trap, if you will. And you wouldn't think in a derby game like this game against Bochum that you would have a trap game, but it's what happened. Obviously, we were all this high with Džeko. Obviously, the 30 minutes that he had, he scored a goal, wonderful performance. We weren't sure if he was going to start in this game or not. We knew Ljubicic was another guy who was added to the lineup. He got the start in this one, not Džeko, and so there's a little wrinkle, a little difference from the lineup than what we're used to in the lineup in this one. To start, Karius in goal, Becker, Katic, and Ayhan in the back. Little wrinkle there. Then you had Valentinez, El-Fauzi, Schellenberg, and Sanchez in the middle with Ljubicic, Karaman, and Gomis in there. Obviously, Silla, because everyone's thinking he's going to sell. He's been sold. We'll get back to Silla. Thoughts on the starting 11 in this game?
Yeah, definitely a little bit different than what we've seen at times, because you're seeing, obviously Becker's been back in there recently, but you're seeing Sanchez sliding in there and playing kind of like a true left back position for significant stretches, which is not how we've typically had him utilized, but having to make do, in the absence of Vitaly Becker at the moment. And then, as you shouted out, Gomez continuing to get his run in the absence of Silla, and before we have the likes of Džeko ever being considered for starting a full 90, or at least starting the match. And then I say, yeah, Ljubicic coming in as well. So definitely a little bit of a shakeup. Still relatively strong in terms of you have your Schallenberg, El-Fauzi, you have Karaman on the pitch. But yeah, the rest of that supporting cast is a little bit shakier in this one, and so you're wondering how that's going to look, particularly in possession and going forward, which has been the bugaboo for the most part. So that didn't look particularly good in the first half.
No, and I also thought I was wary about the defensive shape up, because no Kurica in this one. Obviously, he had a pretty bad game in the Kaiserslautern match, but he was out because of suspension, and so Ayhan comes in naturally. My first inclination would be that Becker would be on the left-hand side versus Ayhan, but we didn't really see that wrinkle. Sanchez certainly was on that side, but he was in there on the left back side in place of Becker. Maybe Becker's situation is a lot more dire than we thought, because there's some moves that happened on the left back side that happened today. But nonetheless, the game starts out and we know it's going to be a grind. It's Schalke. It's never going to be easy. And I remember the kickoff happened. I get up, go get a drink, and they score a goal. They score a goal within first minute or two. One of the glaring weaknesses of the high line, we play a high line defensive line. One of the glaring weaknesses that we've talked about from numerous times is that, yeah, we press up so high with the defensive line, but if we play a team that's good possession, good in passing, they can break that down, and all of a sudden it's numbers the other way. And we saw that in the first couple of minutes. Leading up to this goal, you look at the lineup for Bochum. Obviously, Timo Horn is a keeper we're all well aware of in the Bundesliga and German football. But, up top, they got Hofmann. He's up there in age. He's not the youngest guy, not the fastest guy, but he knows how to put the ball in the back of the net. Then they got other guys like Holtmann, who plays on the wing. Miyoshi, who's been a terror in the past. Some other guys you got in defense. You got Vitek and Strumpf and
Onyeka's got a burst in midfield as well.
Onyeka got a burst. So this team is not bad at all, and it's a derby game, so they're gonna be up for the game. And what we saw within the first couple minutes of the game, minute of the game, they caught us in a counterattack situation, and lo and behold, it's a high line that gets beat once again. And for some reason, it's Katic against Holtmann. Holtmann's going to win that 10 times out of 10 every day of the week and twice on Sunday. He just outpaces Katic. I mean, he was caught in no man's land. Holtmann ends up crossing the ball in, and it was just a tap-in for Miyoshi at that point. Ihan, Sanchez, I mean, you name it. Everybody was out of position, with the high-line press. And to go down that early, I wasn't ready for that. I know you weren't ready for that, but Schalke clearly weren't ready for that. It's a weakness that keeps rearing its head with these teams that are skilled on the ball, as Kaiserslautern are, or as Bochum are. And down 1-0 early, I was like, oh, man, this is not a good situation here, Jack.
You talked about what your initial minute or so of the game was, which was, getting up and going, getting a drink and coming back and discovering that we've conceded a goal. The first minute or so of my game was immediately looking at our line and looking at multiple players on both edges of the wing that are sitting right on it and looking for the ball. Now I'm not claiming that I predicted this was going to happen immediately, but within the first 60 seconds, I already noticed that, and my thought was, Bochum's paying attention in terms of they're doing the scouting report. They're looking at how we're conceding goals and how we're, vulnerable. And it was clear from the way they were setting up in possession shape wise from the first seconds of the match. That's something they were going to be looking to do. I didn't expect it to even result in a chance that early, let alone a goal, but they took advantage of it right away, caught us napping. I actually kind of want to blame Ian for it a little bit as well, because I felt like he had a chance to get to that and didn't really make an effort to get to it, assuming he had coverage behind him. And what happened is that I don't know if this was a coordinated thing, because it actually happened on both of their goals to some extent. So maybe it's something they've practiced or whatever. But the second that ball comes in, Miyoshi cuts inside of Sanchez from behind. That wasn't reaction to where the ball was played. It was almost as the ball was getting played, he makes that move, and it happens to die exactly in that space between Ian and Sanchez. Sanchez is just completely has no idea that Miyoshi's coming on that side of him, and it's basically a one-on-one with. I'm not saying it's uncontested, but it was kind of a clear hit one-on-one with the keeper there, and so Karius is beaten right away. And it's we're on the road. It's a shocking gut punch in the derby immediately. And it's what we've seen a lot of recently. We do not have speed in our center back play. When we can control the game, I think those guys can read danger relatively well, and they can make good angles and get to stuff. But when we're just talking about being on our heels and having to turn and run 30 yards to try to save something, that's not something that we have for the most part. Sanchez a little bit, Ian's got a little bit of pace, that kind of thing, but Katic and Becker are not keeping up with people for the most part. It's been a real problem recently, and I'm surprised that there haven't been more adjustments from Muslich in terms. I mean, maybe you don't know how that translates from him trying to make adjustments and players executing it, but it seems pretty obvious situation, and for Bochum to take advantage of it that early and making it a clear point of intention, it seemed is just kind of embarrassing is the wrong word, but it seems okay, how are we not a little bit more on top of this at this point? I don't know.
Yeah, and I could give him a benefit of doubt and say the first goal, not necessarily embarrassing. They caught us in what our glaring weakness was. But what was embarrassing is for the remainder of the game, they continued the same formula over and over again. Get the ball to Holtmann, take on whoever one-on-one, and beat them for pace. And he did throughout the game. We had no adjustment whatsoever. Even at halftime when, we had an opportunity to have the coaches talk to the players, it just didn't seem to change. And it's one of those weaknesses that we've talked about all year long, where it's that right side, as good as they played this year, that is a weakness where teams take advantage of it, and no one has been exploiting it. They've taken advantage of one or twice here in a game. Bochum took advantage of that's their whole game plan is go down that one wing and just attack and we had no answers for it, and that's scary if we can't adjust to it. We'll see how the game's going forward. And kind of to start the game out, the game was already in a bad feeling where, last game we talked about youngster Zaida Musa Jabara, how his performance coming off the bench was pivotal in the game tying goal. He has a lot of potential with him. He is one of those strikers that we've seen from the Knappen. There was a lot of potential we haven't seen in a long time. He's something we're resting our laurels on, hopefully going on forward this year and then going in the future. And apparently he misses a practice or team meeting or something like that. And naturally, as any manager or coach would do, he gets benched and he doesn't make the lineup at all. And so he would have been something nice to have in the game, just to have out there as another option. Not that we were doing anything offensively, everything, that was dangerous. But then, like go down 1-0 like that all of a sudden, not the ideal way. Ljubicic was in the game. It took him a while to kind of feel his way in, and that's understandable. A new guy who, first time, and he's only been on the team, just maybe 3 days, 2-3 days. Can't expect the world out of him, and it seemed like we're expecting too much for a guy who just come off the plane and joined us, Jack.
Yeah, you said Ljubicic was in the game. I said, was he? Before I came off of mute. But yeah, no, I agree. I'm optimistic about Ljubicic, but I think, I'm not going to draw. Yeah, I'm not going to draw huge conclusions from his singular performance. But yeah, certainly an underwhelming debut. You can say that for sure. Just didn't look to be even covering that much ground or like moving around particularly, quickly. So that wasn't great.
No, one of the few glimpses that we had in the first half, probably 11 minutes in or so, Karaman on the left wing side is doing his thing, and Volantevich makes his rare run from the right wing side, cuts into the box. Karaman feeds him. He gets the shot off just wide, but that was few and far between in terms of shots for Schalke. 10 minutes later, Holtman had another great opportunity. He gets a save. Karius makes he had a one-on-one shot against Karius, and Karius makes a save there. We talked about how Džeko, when he was inserted last week, his hold-up play was really good. I mean, it's a world-class striker. He's going to know how to hold the ball. Gomes, for what in some lineups you look at it, he's the hold-up guy, and he's non-existent there. Between him and Ljubicic, there was no hold-up play for the attack. So if you were going to, which Schalke tried, to use the striker as a hold-up player to feed the runners, this is non-existent. So it didn't help a situation that was, they're already exploiting our weaknesses going down that one flank for us. Offensively, we're trying to funnel it to the striker to kind of get everybody else engaged into the match. And there was non-existent there. They tried to press as when they could, but offensively, there was nothing going on, Jack. And it was clearly evident from the early going that this is going to be a long game for us.
I feel like when we signed Gomes, a lot of the highlights that I watched from him, he was in space.
Yep.
And I feel like we just have not been able to get him the ball in space and let him take people on or really, I don't know. He's in traffic a lot. He's going up against bigger bodies. I talked about he was kind of getting bullied at the beginning of the game last week. There was another thing within the first couple minutes of this game right at the start where he got shoved from behind, almost kind of got hurt. You know what I mean? Like one of his first real kind of challenges in the game. So yeah, it just I don't know if the way he's being used at the moment is what is ideal for the kind of player he is. It certainly doesn't seem like it. He hasn't had the impact I think we were hoping he was going to have since he got signed. I can't really point to very many good performances from him at all, honestly. So I think he's somebody who's potentially ripe to lose his position in the starting 11. I know it's a luxury, but given how things are, and if Džeko's not going to be starting anytime soon, I think he is, some potential backup there. But I mean, look, I would say this. Here's the question that'll settle this for you. Maybe not. Right now, Musa Silla, if he's not, and we'll get to that. Musa Silla or Gomes?
Musa Silla.
Yeah, it's the same here, and it's not particularly close.
No.
So I mean,
no.
Yeah, that should answer it right there.
Gomes is good for pace, and that's about it right now. We've seen the highlights, we've seen the glimpses here and there, but consistency wise, Musa Silla by a mile, and that's not even close. He was even fed. There was a play where Ihan, one of the maybe the other lone highlight of the first half, where Ihan finds this great springing pass for Gomes on a breakaway, and Gomes gets down and goal, but high and wide, not even close. Really, the predominant trend in the first half was Holtman going down that wing, exploiting our guys, and you had this feeling. Everyone watching the game knew that eventually this is going to happen. Another goal. This is what's going to happen. We held on as long as we could, and then just before halftime, so we scored right at the beginning of the half of the game, and then just before halftime, once yet again, they go down to Holtman for the millionth time in the first half. He goes down, crosses the ball in, and Hoffman puts a fantastic finish. I mean, it's a wonderful strike by Hoffman. I'm not going to take that away from him, but the fact that Holtman beat whoever the hell he wanted to on that one wing sets up Hoffman for the goal. It's just like, damn. 2-0, game's over at that point because we could barely get a shot off. They already got 2 goals.
No, it's the same goal though. Left-hand side,
yes.
Striker cuts inside the far center back the exact same way Miyoshi did on the first one, and he, there's only so much Karius can do. And I thought Karius was the best player on the pitch for us again, by the way. But there's only so many times you can put him in one-on-ones in the game and expect him to save our ass, and he's gonna do it a couple times a game. But you can't push it, and
no.
Yeah, I mean, this defensive thing of oh, we have Karius behind us now. Maybe we can get a little more aggressive and I mean, I'm not saying that's what the mindset is, but it seems like it at times, and that's not sustainable. We gotta tighten up. Really,
we do. And so we go down 2-0 at halftime. We had some shots, but you look at shots on target. We only had one on target at that point.
We have one. I thought we had 0 in the first half.
Maybe we had 0. Maybe it was just one shot. Maybe it was one shot total. No, we had a decent ton of shots. It just they weren't on target, and so they were exploiting a great weakness there for us. Go to the second half, immediate change. Džeko comes in for Volantevits, trying to ignite something in the team. We're trying to focus everything through Džeko, and I saw some improvements in the attack. Not necessarily great improvements, but there are improvements in the attack. Eventually, we got a corner kick. 10 minutes in. And ball goes in the box. Catch scores the goal. We're back in this jack. I'm feeling good. They call it back. And it's like, what? And I don't even know if VAR went in to check this, but they called a foul on Katic. And initially you're watching it, and you're like, oh, that's okay, foul. It makes sense. Let's replay it. There's no touch check.
Yeah, sorry to completely change the subject real quick. This just reminded me. The second goal that they scored, was that not a full-arm shove on El Fauzi on the breakaway for us? That's a yellow card and a foul at the edge of the box for us and a free kick. And instead that goes the opposite direction and they score off of that. Where's the VAR there? Where's the call there? That second goal shouldn't have happened, by the way.
Sure.
Getting back to your point now, phantom call there. Where's the foul on the keeper? If anybody, his own player made more contact with him later in that sequence than Katic did. But unbelievable. Yeah. Nonsense. Yeah.
Nonsense. I didn't see it at all. I mean, Timo Horn did a fantastic job of calling that or faking that and going down. They call the goal, call back the goal, non-existent. And game continues on. We keep trying as best we can. Very futile in that regards. We end up scoring a goal later on. They call it back. Karaman had scored the goal. The VAR said it was a handball or whatever it was. Did not count.
Yeah. Džeko.
Every call in the game went against us. And you could say that we've had all this luck in the world so far up to this point. And it's true. We've been very fortunate in a lot of situations. But it seemed like in this game, there were underlying things. People were paid off. Every single call was going against Schalke. I understand it was more 50-50, but we just got the worst of the big calls. But I think all the calls went towards Bochum. It was ridiculous what it was, and VR didn't seem to insert themselves. If they're going to insert themselves, they should have at least at the Katic thing. If nothing else, didn't have that. I would have felt better if we scored that Katic goal and then that was the result 2-1. No, it was none of that, and it was infuriating to watch. We lose the game 2-0, and we're back to where we're going feeling a high. A potential trap game that end up being 100% a trap game, and it shouldn't have been in a derby game. It should never be a trap game. But referees were involved, but we didn't help any matters anything. We were poor all the way around, outside of maybe Karius. We were poor 100%, and we're 100% to blame for that.
We were. We didn't deserve to win the game. Like I said, I do think there was some fuckery by the officiating, and I'm not upset
Eloquent.
with with Karaman's goal getting called off. I think that's an unfortunate play, but I do think that
Yeah.
was kind of an inadvertent handball by Džeko there. So whatever, the VAR can get involved in that one. But yeah, I think their second goal should have been called back. And I think they took one away from us for no reason. So I think it's 1-1 right there. That being said, first half was atrocious. The positives you can take away from it is the second Džeko comes on the pitch, and it's an entirely different team.
Yeah.
It is.
100%.
We dominated the second half. Well, I mean, I'll say this: they still had multiple opportunities against our back line and the high line where they like smoked us. I said, like I said, I almost said Kenan again. That's the second week in a row. I almost said him and his brother instead of his name. Sorry, but like, dude, he slipped, fell down, one-on-one. Katic sprints like 30 yards to get in front of that and kind of save potentially a 3-0 situation. So like there was still some of that stuff happening, but we had like over 70% possession in the second half. Everything starts going, through Džeko to some extent. Something you don't see when Džeko's not on the pitch is there's actually a clustering of Schalke offense that happens kind of in that where the number 10 is. Džeko drops in and you sometimes get like him, Karaman, and somebody else within a very tight window. And that allows all this space on the wings to open up, and they'll play these balls in there, and they hope it gets like a 2-yard dink to somebody, and they just blow past it. Like they draw all this stuff. It's like there's stuff that happens that when he's on the pitch that isn't happening the rest of the time, and that makes you it's at least positive in that sense that like, hey, he didn't score, we still lost 2-0, which isn't good, but his impact was still felt. So even though he didn't score, he changed the game for us, and we looked like a much more dangerous and in control team. And Bochum was just kind of hanging on for the most part in the second half. We still need to do a better job, obviously, of executing and actually flipping the script. And we need to find a way when Džeko's not on the pitch to have offense to speak of at all whatsoever. But that's the silver lining and the kind of spin is like, hey, that debut performance, I feel like was legit in the sense that even though he didn't score in game 2, a lot of the same stuff that we said was good about him was still good about him in this one and still helped the team.
Yeah, I think a couple things need to happen in this next game. Maybe 3 things. First, I understand the reason why you would have Džeko come off the bench late in the game, add a little spark. But for me personally, put Džeko in from the beginning, see how long he goes, ride him, and then if you got to bring Ljubicic in or Lucilla, we'll get to him. So be it. Bring us a pace afterwards. But we are a completely different team with Džeko in there. The team, attack-wise, runs as a team you expect to play, especially with a striker like him. Yes, he's older, but hey, ride him as long as he can go. And if it's 45 minutes or 60 minutes, so be it. And then bring in some of the younger, faster guys. 2, Ihan over Becker. At least on the right-hand side. Becker can play left-hand side, and if he wants to do that, that's fine. Our biggest weakness is our right-hand flank. Volantevich and whoever the hell's on the right flank, Ihan has to be there. He is at least a balancing force in that effort. He has his own mistakes, and we know that.
Becker hasn't been good enough since coming back. I'm sorry. It pains me to say it. It's a fact.
Yeah, and there may be now a new guy coming in left wing, a French guy, left back, that may help with the Becker situation when he's out. So Ihan has to start right back or right center back, no matter what, I think. And then third, I had a third. I don't remember what it was. But those are 2 key things that I think there for sure. That will go a long way to being better performance than we saw in this game. It was atrocious.
Yeah, I agree. I think you said that right-hand side's been a problem. Becker's looked slow. And he's just getting beaten too much. Yeah, I don't know. It sucks, but I think if we're gonna be if it becomes an either or, I think you play I in there. Something else I wanted to mention too.
Yep.
Better with Eunice. And I think that's literally just because we are so bad in possession and we have nobody on the pitch that can like play a through ball with proper weight and like vision and anticipation or anything. And the second he comes on, stuff just moves around better. So like I talked yesterday, like I wanted to see what Eunice looks like with Džeko. Like, yeah, we didn't see like a ton of them two specifically combining quickly or anything, but like I still think that Eunice in the second half when he came on helped us offensively as well.
Yeah.
Something else, Schallenberg in the second half, particularly once we had more possession and we were able to kind of control the ball down there, he had a number of moments in possession around the edge of the box where he was like Fulcrum firing off a lot of quick passes and everything. I thought he was extremely effective in that.
Yeah.
And that made me wonder, like, where was that the rest of the game in different parts of the pitch? Is there a way that we can get him on the ball more? I know that's been El Fauzi more this season, kind of like marauding and doing that. And Schallenberg's been a little bit more, defensive game manager kind of thing. But like the way he was operating around the edge of the box is like that kind of like pace of moving the ball around was like lacking so much kind of before that. So I wanted to shout him out too. I thought he looked good in those moments.
It's one of those things where you have a player of the quality of Edin Džeko, and all of a sudden everybody, it just brings their game up for whatever reason, whether they're trying to show off for him, whether they just feel more relaxed because they have this guy that they feel comfortable with at the striker as a fulcrum position. And anytime you see a team that has a player of this quality, all of a sudden the quality seems to rise, right? And you wonder why some of these teams where like you take a young starlet who is fresh, fresh and raw. You put him on a team that's struggling, he's going to struggle. We put him on a team of superstars, all of a sudden he's the next world superstar, and you wonder why that is. And a lot of it's confidence playing with those type of players like Edin Džeko, and you see that when he's inside the game. Alfauzi's game gets better, even though it's already good. Schallenberg goes starts making these crisp passes. All these guys start, performing in orchestra together, and you're like, okay, so this is what it's supposed to look like. And so that's why I'm like, start him from the beginning. And then as the game gets, long and teams get tired, opposition gets tired, you start bringing some of these pacier guys like, Alas or Lubicic or whomever, or Gomes, and you kind of beat them that way, trying to change your setup there. But Džeko has raised the level of guys in this short amount of time that he's played, it's 70 minutes or something like that. And it's evident. It's like night and day from when he's not there and when he's there. The guys just feel either more confident or feel, I don't know what it is. It just, Džeko brings it out of them, and I need to see more of that. And so that's why I'm like, he needs to start the game. I don't care how long he can go. Put him out there. Don't give us 30 minutes. Get him out there.
No, I mean, I could see it both ways. I think, I think there's an argument. Hey, you play him up top. You have him kind of bully people. You bring on fast legs at the end of the game. That works. I think the other thing is, you have more pace in the first half, and then when the legs are a little bit wobbly in the second half, on all those set pieces where they need to have a strong foundation and a strong base, the legs are giving way, and you have a fresh Edin Džeko who's like strong as hell, and and is able to do that kind of stuff too. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, look, I think all of us, if you said, hey, here's 90 minutes of Edin Džeko where he looks like he can play 90 minutes, there's not a single Schalke fan that's not going to say like, yes, we would prefer to have that. So look, if we can start getting him starting and getting 60, love it. Like, of course, I'll take that. But yeah, I think I trust for the time being the Schalke hierarchy and Džeko to kind of ease him in gradually and make sure that there's a better chance that we have him available for the entire season and playing well than trying to like, hey, this is the solution. We have to force as many minutes as possible and then maybe have him not be as fit as he otherwise might be. But that's a balancing act. I'm sure they're going to be doing the rest of the way.
It is. And I think, there's three things I kind of want to talk about. That's something that's important for us to kind of figure how they want to use Džeko in this. But you start chronologically how the game went. We got to figure out that right wing spot. The right wing spot is a glaring issue, and within 42 seconds, they score a goal on us, and it just destroys our game plan. It'll destroy anybody's game plan there. And so the psychological blow when you play in a team and you Riviera Derby, when you don't score that many goals as it is, and you're touting yourself on this great defense, and they score within the first minute of the game, it's a psychological blow. And so many things happened in the chain of events there that led to the goal, but we keep seeing it time and time again. We need to fix the high line is nice when it works for us. When you got teams like Bochum, and I think as much as Bayern Muslich and his management team, study the opposition, they should know that a team is A, good at countering, good B, at possession, and can pass the ball really well. And you notice that maybe you got to deviate just a little bit. Yeah, you want everyone to play to your style, but like if you got teams there, when you play that high line, it can be destructive to your team when you play those teams. As we saw in the Bochum match, and 42 seconds in, they scored a goal. We need to understand better when we analyze these games. Not we, the management team. Maybe we should do this in this game. Yeah, we're going to play a high line. We don't have to play on the other side of the pitch. We can play a little bit higher, but more set back than what we're used to. They have to understand a a balance, kind of what you said with Džeko, a balance of where you play the high line and defensively.
Or make it more personnel dependent. Maybe we're not doing that unless the back three is Kurachai and Ayan alongside Katic, and you have Becker on the left hand. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Or, I mean, like Vitaly Becker, not Timo Becker. You know what I mean? It's something else. Like I'm saying, like if it's the situation we had today, maybe we're not looking at that as much. I don't know. And I'm sure, like, hey, like if it's easy to like look at isolated like 15, 20-second moments and being like, this entire philosophy can't work because there's been the isolated moments where there's danger that's leaked through. So I understand that perspective of it too. But like, I think my concern is this has started to be a thing towards the back end of the first half of the season. And it like has shown no signs of improving now for like 6-7 games kind of in a row at minimum, I think, to the point where it's like, it's worrying. And the whole thing was like, you know, we are where we were largely were because of our defense. Our defense has not changed. Yeah, there's some mild injury stuff, but for the most part, like we're kind of where we've been with the defense for the entire time. We just got a defensive reinforcement. We'll talk about that in a minute as well. Like, so unless our defense dramatically changes, we should be okay because we just improved our offense through Džeko. Like, we don't have any excuses. The problem is our defense has not looked like it has recently. And you know, when you start conceding 2 goals a game, our offense is not built to be able to cope with that at the moment.
No,
Until Džeko was playing more minutes. Like we were getting away with this because we would have these 0-0 games in the first half of the season where we're picking up a point. You know what I mean? Like once you start giving up 2 goals a game, as we have against Kaiserslautern and Bochum, our offense is not that good. We can't do that. Like it isn't there yet. I think it could be potentially at some point in the second half, once again, as Džeko and maybe some of the new signings get involved. But like that's the problem. So whatever this defensive issue is, we have to lock it down. And it seems like most of the danger recently has been coming as a result of this high line. So I think, hey, screw whatever your situation is. Get this part of it under control. Let's not give up these home run balls and see if we can control the game a little better some other way until we get some other things figured out. Because like this is the thing that's getting me concerned. I still think we're in great shape, obviously, but like if the defensive component of what got us here starts to slip and the offense doesn't catch up soon enough, that changes the calculus very quickly, and the defenses look bad.
Yes. Yeah, 100%. And like, if you know once in the game you're going to have a situation, it's having you guys better prepared to do what to do in a situation when the game breaks down and they're going down the flank. What do you do? Because we haven't done it to this point. Figure out what to do in those situations. 2, it's one thing. I'd feel more confident if, yes, it happened early in the game, 42 seconds in, and we didn't see the rest of the game because they made adjustments. The startling thing is when this happens, we make 0 adjustments, and it continues over and over again, and the better teams will continue to exploit it as Bochum did. Kaiserslautern kind of did it, but then they kind of went away from it because they kind of got distracted when we scored a goal. Bochum just kept doing it over and over and over again. And they're like, we're going to keep doing it until you stop us. And Schalke wasn't stopping us. And so they just kept doing it. And so that's what scares me more than anything is that, like, we don't adjust whatsoever. It's like, oh, you scored a goal that way. Okay, cool. And then, oh, you scored it again. Okay, cool. It's like, no, adjust. Figure something out. There's a reason why they did it because they went right by you. Like, figure it out. Make adjustments. And especially if it go to halftime where the coaches and the managers have an opportunity to talk to people and there's still no adjustments, that worries me. Now, granted, it's one game. I'm not going to read into it too much. But if it starts continuing on and on, then you need to start to get worried. We need to continue what's our bread and butter, like you said, our defense. Stick to our defense. Our attack has improved drastically with the insertion of Džeko. Now we got a couple of other bodies that came in during the break. We may have got one guy back. And so, yeah, just keep our bread and butter good and absolutely figure out something on the right-hand side, right-wing side. And if you can minimize that at least, hey, they scored another goal, they scored a worldly goal, so be it. But you can't just allow them, just can give them a freebie goal like they're coming down that wing that we've seen over and over again in that Bochum match. It's infuriating. So
yeah, I don't think anyone expected our Rückrunde defensive record to match what we did in the Hinrunde, but we also can't start conceding 2 goals a game. It's just a matter of course. Yeah.
No, we certainly can't. And now we are. And we kind of already talked about Džeko, so I'm going to kind of go to my last talking point, which is it's a reality check. Winless in 4 now. No wins in 2 games to start the Rückrunde. Luckily, and I say luckily, despite the performances for the other teams this weekend sort of went our way. We have a 1-point lead now over I think it's Elversberg and Darmstadt, and a 3-point lead over Paderborn. So it's getting pretty tight in the Zweite Liga right now. So we're in obviously a lull at the moment. We have some winnable games. Dresden coming up here, but we have some winnable games here right now. We need to take maximum points from these games and get us in a better position when these tight games come here. So that's the one part, and the second part is, well, let's start with that. Let's start. It's getting tight now. Darmstadt, Paderborn are getting involved now with Elversberg. How do you feel with this? Considering we are on a 4-game winless streak.
I mean, it's been tight the entire time. Our maximum point lead was 4 points. I mean, that's
Not much.
That can change very quickly. We were never in a comfortable position.
No.
It's just it's a matter of we don't expect to start plummeting all of a sudden. So I mean, look, it's tight at the top of the table. If we have a couple more weeks in a row where we don't pick up points, we could suddenly be in 5th or 6th place. Very easy could happen. I do think we've had not an insane stretch recently, but Hertha, Kaiserslautern, Bochum, those are all top half teams.
Yeah.
Braunschweig is not good, but they've been creeping up the table a little bit, kind of as the season's been going on. That's still not the result we wanted to them either. Obviously, losing that game to Braunschweig. Not making excuses there or anything. But yeah, I mean, hopefully, some of the next couple fixtures are going to be slightly easier for us. I mean, you mentioned, Dresden being one of them. Obviously, they're sitting in the relegation, the playoff, I think, position at the moment too. So, we need some get right performances pretty quickly though to stop the bleeding. Definitely need a win sooner rather than later.
And obviously, we are super comfortable because we led. I feel like we led Europe, but leading in terms of being most comfortable with less possession. So we have the most points of teams that have the least amount of possession. We're comfortable not having the ball. We need to figure out how to be comfortable with the ball as well, because there will be teams like Bochum who will allow us to have the ball and see what we can do with it. And so we need to get comfortable with it without destroying our shape defensively, because that's what Bochum did. They allowed us to have the ball, get cocky with it, get comfortable, and then they hit us on the counterattacks numerous times throughout the game. So we need to figure out a way to not allow that to happen, a counterattack that is, when we do have possession. So that's one. And then two, leading to our new guy, Ljubicic. I can't read, like you said, I don't want to read too much into the game with what he did or didn't do. I think there's potential there with him. I think linking him up with Džeko might be a potential to see with Ljubicic has the pace with him, and he has. It's hard to tell what he has or doesn't have because it was a limited sample size and it wasn't an ideal situation for us. So I'm not going to read too much into him, but though I am excited to see what he could possibly do. But I didn't realize how he seems so small and frail compared to the defenders for Bochum in the game. Or maybe just looking at him and compared to Hoffman. Hoffman's a big, bulking striker, so it's hard to compare him.
It was way too anonymous from him.
Yeah.
We'll keep an eye on it. It wasn't great. I'm not super worried about it, but I mean, if that's what we're getting from him, obviously it's going to be a problem. We'll say though.
Yeah.
But I mean, look, Dresden, Magdeburg, 2 of the next 3 games. These are home matches against some of the bottom opposition and some of the worst defenses in the league, both of which have conceded more than twice as many goals as we have this year. If we don't start seeing goals come in against some of these teams, then we can maybe be concerned about how things are going to go. But I would have to anticipate that Džeko is going to score at least once at some point in the next couple games, and there's going to be other guys chipping in as well. If we can't take advantage of some of these teams at home, we have big fish to fry. So I'm optimistic though. This wasn't what I wanted this past week after I was talking about how optimistic I was of the second half against Kaiserslautern, but I still think once Džeko was on the pitch, the performance was much better, and I think we will take advantage of the teams we're playing in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, hopefully that's the case, and hopefully it ends up being a nice reality check where we realize, hey, maybe our shit does stink, and so we need to figure out and work harder than we thought we needed to do. I mean, Musa's told everyone it's going to be a grind for the next 5 months or whatever it is. you're gonna have to really grind. You thought the first half was a grind. It's not a grind, so they got to figure something out. And so let's hope that they can figure things out rather quickly. Um, I'm excited, and one of the bit of news that kind of might change the whole narrative. Really, is that we were banking on Musa Silla being sold to NYCFC for 7 million euros. And there was a comment in our last podcast, which I didn't really agree. I didn't pay attention much to, but now that I see it in hindsight, NYCFC are playing hardball, or I don't know what the hell's going on with the medical there, where they didn't pick up Musa Silla from the airport or whatever it was, and something's going on in the back scene where he's all of a sudden potentially coming back to Schalke, and the deal may be falling through here. I've been watching the tweets from Florian Plattenberg. It seems like NYCFC kind of want this like a loan with an option to buy versus just a straight out buy. I don't know what's going on there. So it potentially looks Silla on his Instagram was like, "Hey guys, hey Schalke fans, you crazy fans, I'm going back." It's like, wait, what? So like, great. It's great that he's coming back because we can certainly use him. We just talked about how Silla is here compared to Gomis, compared to talent and skill. But we're also kind of banking on that 7 million euros. We just picked up two French players, and we had all these ideas of what we're gonna do with the money, and now potentially we're not getting that. So, what do you make of this whole Musa Silla deal possibly falling through with NYCFC?
It's certainly weird because, as you said, they said like, yeah, he's in New York already, looking like 7 million-ish pending a medical, and then after a while, I was like, man, this medical's really taking a long time, isn't it? Like,
Yeah,
what's going on with this medical?
thorough.
Why haven't we heard like confirmation on this? And yeah, it looks like we're waiting, I guess, for more details. I haven't seen anything in the reporting online about what exactly has transpired, but it appears as though that deal is not happening. Look,
Yeah.
I'm fine with that as long as that doesn't throw us into financial issues, which I don't think it will. But like, look, the 7 million for him would have been nice. I wasn't eager to get rid of him, and I wasn't anticipating us getting rid of him either. I thought the Džeko signing was going to be, purely additive in that sense, rather than some sort of replacement deal for him. He hasn't been good under Muslic. Hasn't performed well. I'm not super optimistic for how much better he's going to perform the rest of the way if he stays, but like given how bad our offensive is, I'll take it all day. And you also don't know how Musa Silla looks with Džeko potentially, which is the other thing. Like does that change stuff? It very well could. I mean, like what does this team look like if suddenly you have Musa Silla, Džeko, Karaman? Like there's options. Like there's iterations and combinations that we haven't taken a look at yet. Who knows what's going to unlock a solution for us. So, yeah, if we end up selling him somewhere else, that's fine with me. If the NYC move does happen, that's fine with me. If he stays, I'm happy with that too. I wasn't trying to get rid of him in the first place. He was huge for us last year. He's been disappointing, but I'm not like completely out on him after 6 months
Yeah.
of kind of mediocre football. So yeah, anyway, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I'm the same way with you. I mean, I think Karaman's gonna Karaman. He's gonna do his thing no matter what, who's there. But I think Džeko really could elevate the players around him, in particular guys like Eunice and Silla. I would like to see. I think Džeko needs to be the focal point of the striker position, and you can supplement that with maybe guys like a Remmert or Hoyland, or last if he comes back healthy. And then you put some guys on the wing who have a little bit more pace and can inject a little bit of spontaneity, like a Musa Silla or a Zaid Musa Chabara. Let's hope he figures his shit out because he needs to figure that out. He can't be coming late to anything. So, yeah, if we're going to keep Silla, great. Put him with Džeko, see what he can do because we have never seen him with a guy who can feed him the ball and put him in positions like Džeko can. Karaman does his thing, and he can only do so much. But Džeko is a different class when you talk about players. We love Karaman to death, but he's not Džeko in terms of talent when you look at their history. And so, what can he do? He being Silla do and play on the pitch at the same time as Edin Džeko. And then, hey, if it goes well, he'll contribute assists or goals. It doesn't matter at this point. Goal or assist is just as fine either way because either way it results in a goal in the back of the net. So let's just keep at it. If he ends up going alone with the option to buy, so be it. But I'm going to trust Bauman. He hasn't done us wrong just yet. We'll see how Ljubicic comes out and how the whole Silo thing pans out. But hopefully they figure things out, whether it's a €7 million deal works out or it's a loan option to buy or he just stays at Schalke. Doesn't matter. Give him an opportunity to shine with Džeko and see what he can do. And hopefully we can correct our defensive issues and figure out a way offensively to score a goal or two more than we had been doing in the first half of the season. So I'm hopeful. But yeah, a game like Bochum, it's makes it more difficult for sure.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Full agreement.
All right, we had a couple moves, but we're not going to really talk about them. We'll get more into depth about them next week when I'm back from travels from my fireplace chateau up in the northern Midwest. Yeah, a couple of French players that both helping out in the left back and midfield positions. We'll see how they contribute to our team going forward. But we got the game against Dresden coming up, and it's a winnable game. And hopefully we take a maximum of points because it seems like second half of the season, you got some teams that are really interested in making this interesting. We knew Elfsberg were going to be in it, but Darmstadt, Paderborn, possibly Hanover, and Kaiserslautern, they're all throwing their hat into the ring for this promotion race. And so it's going to be certainly interesting going down the stretch, as it always is in this Zweite Liga. We knew that. We knew that from the beginning. So we'll see. Anything else before we get out of here, Jack?
That's all from me.
All right, that's it for me as well. Fire is getting a little warm here, so I gotta have to cool that off a little bit or something. But Jack, where can our followers find you on social media?
At JMMangan, JMMangan on Twitter.
You can follow me at R_. Yeah, KHARMAN. That's a very Timo Becker like. Anyway. More importantly, follow us at SchalkeMerica all across social media. If you haven't done so yet, make sure you follow us on YouTube, Twitch, Kick, Facebook, everywhere, all across, and make sure you spread the word to everybody else so they can follow us as well. TikTok, we're up and back and forth there. We're having issues with TikTok. It's just the whole thing. So anyway, all right, we're gonna get down out of here. Game coming up against Dresden, as we said. Hopefully, we can rebound after that poor performance against Bochum, but. Yeah, I've got a week to think about it, and we'll see how it all pans out. But for Jack and myself, enjoy the rest of your week, and yeah, Glück out.